What is the biggest lie that you tell yourself about your career transition success?
I think it's something that I've probably come to realise recently. I think up until even now, I've been kind of almost telling myself this lie that I'm not capable enough in terms of the experience that I have, or I'm not capable. And I think it's only until recently that I've realised that it's actually a lie. Sometimes recruiters are really interested in people who take it upon themselves to hustle in the background in their evenings and in their weekends to change their career and learn off their own back. You know, sometimes as well that comes at a financial cost where you've had to pay for a course or invest in books or study, and they actually value that a lot more than you think. Because
Honestly, it has always blown my mind that a very high percentage of you who listen to the show haven't yet subscribed. So could I just ask you for a favor before we start? If you like the show and you like what we do at Tech Journey with DeDataDude and you want to support us, the free and simple way to do that is by hitting the subscribe button. My commitment to you is that if you do that, I will do everything in my power along with my team to make sure that this show gets better every single week. We will listen to your feedback and find a guest you want me to speak to and continue to do what we do. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Journey with DeDataDude. I am your host, DeDataDude. You know, one thing I've learned on my own personal journey is that there is no single path to success. And today's story proves that beautifully. Our guest today took one of the most unique routes I've ever had. From waking up Scotland on weekend breakfast radio to designing user experiences as one of the most biggest financial institutions. We are talking about a complete career reinvention, not even transitioning. So this conversation is very special because it is not just about career change, it is about identity transformation. Jonny, thank you so much for joining me on Tech Journey with DeDataDude this evening. Thank you very much.
no, thank you. Delighted to be on, and I feel almost honoured that that you think this story's exciting enough that people will find it interesting and it's worth sharing. Thank you for the invite on.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's dive into this incredible journey. Let me start with something very raw right now. And in this moment, what is the biggest lie that you tell yourself about your career transition success?
Biggest lie that I tell myself. I think it's something that I've probably come to realise recently. I think up until even now, I've been kind of almost telling myself this lie that I'm not capable enough in terms of the experience that I have. You know, the team that I work in with UX designers, they have experience that spans across 10, 20, in some cases 30 years.
Wow.
And I think until now, I've kind of felt inferior. Whilst I'm quite a confident person and I'm, sure of my ability, I'm also quite realistic. And I think up until recently, that lie that I've been telling myself is that, yes, I don't have the experience that they have, and therefore I'm not capable. And I think it's only until recently that I've realised that it's actually a lie. You can still be as capable, even though you don't have the same number of years of experience or the same experiences on paper that other people have. But I think with the right support, you can be on that same kind of wavelength and almost up there with people that have been doing this role a lot longer than you have. So I'd say that.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. And Jonny, most people know you as the radio guy, but who were you before, you hold a microphone? What did, 10-year-old Jonny want to be when he grew up?
I guess most people, they do know me from radio. And if you're watching this thinking, I don't know who this guy is, I guess radio was something that I always was interested in and was almost kind of like a hobby for me. And I almost kind of fell into it by mistake, as weird as that sounds. I guess for me, I've worked in radio for, just over 10 years. And when I say radio, I mean commercial radio. So radio where there's adverts. There's breaks for adverts and radio stations that make money. There's a lot of radio stations out there that are, for example, a community radio station where they're almost like a non-profit. So the work that I've done in radio is been for big stations who are part of big groups. So, for example, I've worked most recently on Capital FM in Scotland. And, before that, spent maybe 8 years at a well-known Glasgow-based radio station called Clyde One. And various other radio stations in between, from like Absolute Radio Country to, other kind of stations across Scotland and Edinburgh, Aberdeen, the Borders and so on. So, I guess for me, radio's been a big part of my identity over the last 10 or so years, and it's kind of been what everyone knows me for, which is weird because it's something that I've only really ever done at the weekends. I've always had a weekend show or, like a show on a Saturday or a Sunday, and most recently both of those days. But I guess the bit that people don't always know is that I actually have like a day job and like a career as well. And I think it's not been until recently that I really started to kind of knuckle down on that career and appreciate it a little bit more. As I say, radio was almost a hobby for me, so I started doing that almost for fun. And I worked on like a community radio station. A lot of people do hospital radio, for example. And I just kind of like did it while I was at university. I studied media and communications, and I kind of had a part-time job handing out leaflets for a radio station for a while. And then they kind of were like, we also kind of need someone as backup if someone's off sick. So would you be up for maybe learning some other of the ropes of radio? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So, I kind of almost fell into it by accident. And from there, I did every role at a radio station, from handing out leaflets to making teas and coffees to doing some production. So like editing sounds that you hear or adverts. Doing traffic and travel bulletins, and then becoming like an actual presenter of a show. I think people know me mainly for that. And amongst that, I was also kind of doing bits of other kind of creative jobs. So, things like social media and bits of marketing and, some graphic design and video stuff. But I think 10-year-old me, it was a bit geeky in a way, and almost really interested in technology and IT. Probably a bit like yourself, Kudus. I, growing up, aspired to be some sort of YouTuber, or like, I watched loads of different YouTubers online who did, when you step back and you think about it, they do videos on like unboxing like the new iPhone or things like that. So I knew that I would do something almost kind of tech related or IT related. I think it was more IT at the time, instead of this kind of tech buzzword that everyone likes to use now. But yeah, I think 10-year-old Jonny wanted to do something that was related to technology, but wasn't quite sure what that would be.
Wow. So thank you. You mentioned that your radio career, like, started as an hobby, and you started, at a very low level till you became a presenter. Now, and also you mentioned that you had some other, like, career that you do, but when did user experience, came into light?
Yeah, I think user experience is something that I've probably always done bits of it, and I actually think that no matter what role or industry you're in, you actually kind of do bits of UX, maybe without you even knowing about it. So to let you into what I mean by that, before I transitioned to UX and started on this journey, I worked in a communications and almost kind of marketing product adoption role, where basically it was my job to tell users, here's what our product does, here's all of the new features that it has, here's why you should use it and how it's going to make your life better and, make it easier. Yeah, exactly. So I guess I was almost kind of doing bits of UX without knowing it. I wanted the purpose of what I was doing was to really get more people to use the product, but I had to frame it in a way that well, actually, who cares? Like, so what? What is the so what that the end user is going to, appreciate? So yeah, I guess that, yeah, without really knowing it, I always did bits of UX. I would quite often spend time, looking at analytics of our product and figure out, okay, here's the parts that are popular, and here's, the parts that people don't really visit. Why do they not visit that part? Is it that they just don't know how to use it? And I would kind of have these brainstorming sessions. We had quite a small team, so I often worked myself on a lot of this stuff. But I was trying to kind of decode the reasons for users not using a particular feature. And I guess throughout all of it, I never really thought too much about the placement of where the button was for that feature, or, is it easily understood what that button does, or, the users understand that it will take them to this new feature. So I was busy making, tutorials and videos on here's how you can use this new feature, here's what it does. And then, connecting with users, we would have like almost kind of like surgery sessions or office hours, if you want to call it that. Where we would invite users to, come and speak to us and, learn more and ask questions.
Yeah.
I'd create newsletters and try and target them that way, and would look at the active users, like, from our analytics, who uses this the most, what users are, active on the platform, let's speak to them. So, as I say, in a way, I was doing UX long before I even heard of that, and that little term UX. So I think that's probably where the first kind of sparks of interest for me came. And then once I kind of understood what UX was and knew that it existed as a role, I was kind of dead set on, okay, maybe this is a kind of career switch that I should make and go into that, because I'm kind of almost doing bits of it anyway. So yeah, I suppose that was my first road into UX.
Wow. That is, something that, and this happens a lot, that people have been doing something, but they don't realize, okay, this is the meaning of what I'm doing. For example, someone shared me a story that he has been, like, some years back, before tech became more, popular like this, like some years back, like, he has been using Excel, but he doesn't know anything they call data analytics or data analyst. It was later that he now saw it on YouTube that, okay, if you want to become a data analyst, you need to learn how to use it. And like, I've been a data analyst for over many years, and I didn't even realize, and it's common to, like, people. There are a lot of people in that situation that, that are like that. But I know that before you can become an expert in UX, there must be that process of learning, because it's a field that I also cherish. But what was the most humbling moment during your learning phase?
Oh, it's a good question. I think for me, the key part in all of the learning was definitely that you can't be afraid to reach out to people you don't know and just ask questions. Yeah, asking questions, being curious. If you have a genuine interest in something and you reach out to someone who works in that industry or they're passionate about it, chances are they'll want to tell you about it. They'll want to share what they know. They'll want to kind of, almost brain dump everything that they know to you, because chances are if you're excited by your work, you're enthusiastic about it, you believe in it. And I think when those kinds of people come together, that's kind of when, like, magic happens. So, for me, when I started out on this kind of learning journey and understanding what UX is, you kind of, there's that saying that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, sure.
And I didn't really know anything about UX. I didn't know that, it's usually kind of split in the middle between design and research. I didn't know that. I didn't know all of the kind of, like, methodologies that people use, so for example, one-on-one interviews, focus groups, card sorts, like, these are all different activities that take place, or methodologies within UX. I didn't know any of that. But I think for me, it really was kind of just taking away the fear of reaching out to people and asking them, for their advice or their input, or even just asking them, how did you get into this? Like, what does a typical day look like for you? And it's funny because I'm now in the situation where just this week and also last week, I've met this person twice now. There's somebody that works at my company, and they've reached out to me and they've said, hey, I see that you work in UX and this is something that I'm really interested in. Would you mind grabbing a coffee and like chatting about it? And I thought, man, I've been on this journey for a year, and I'm now, really lucky and blessed that I've had the opportunity to now move into a UX role. And I feel like I've done that kind of like full circle thing where someone has now come to me looking for advice. So I think also as well, there's a bit of, having to kind of swallow your pride a little bit, because some people, I guess, view it almost as a weakness to admit that you don't know something. But I think in all of this, like, one of the big lessons for me is like, you absolutely should admit that you don't know things, because it's the only way that you're going to learn. It allows you to be real with people. And also, 9 times out of 10, when you kind of hold your hands up and say, look, I don't actually know this, people want to help you on that journey and want to share with you what they know. So I'd say that's probably the most humbling part of the overall journey. But, there was many lessons learned along the way, and happy to chat about that if you so wish. But it's been real.
Well, trust me, you are doing absolutely well, and I will say this to anybody listening: if you are also looking towards transitioning into UX, please reach out to Jonny. I know what I'm talking about. Reach out to him. He has a lot of things that he can share with you, and you will learn a lot from it. He can mentor you. Trust me, you just need to be serious about it. Also, because it takes a lot of things from you before you can. Because I believe before Jonny secured a role in UX, there must have been a lot of struggles, and he knows about it, because it's not every struggles, every like behind the scene that always shows to people. Most people only know about the success. Okay, I did this, but before I did it, I must have done a lot of things before I just got that 1 year. Please, if you are listening to this, reach out to Jonny, and thank you for saying that. And I believe that for every career changers, they always have this voice in their head. Like, what is your own saying right now about your own transition? Like, is there any doubt that are still playing on repeat, in your head?
I think if you'd have asked me that question last month, I would have said yes, there's still doubts that play on my head. I am really lucky that I have a really brilliant manager.
Wow.
So I'm going to give him a shout out. Maybe you'll hear this at some point. Duncan McDonald, who works alongside us and is at the moment my line manager. I think he's been a real rock in the kind of development of me over the last couple of months. And I think he's kind of made me understand the actual value and the purpose that I bring. Because had you have asked me that question last month, I would have said kind of similar to what I said at the start of the podcast, that I had this kind of feeling over me that all these people in my team, a lot of them have master's degrees. A lot of them have studied, human computer interaction, and they have maybe been software engineers before they came to UX. They have all these amazing experiences in the background and in, their kind of back catalogue that I just don't have, and I think for a long time, I started this journey in August last year. So we're not even at the year mark yet. We're almost there. But
let me clap for you. Yeah, I've done absolutely well.
You're too kind. But yeah, I started this journey in August last year, and I think for a long time I thought, because I don't have that kind of background or experience, that I'm not capable enough, or I don't really, not that I don't deserve the opportunity, because I think that I recognise that you've got to put the work in and you've got to work hard. The course that I did, for anyone listening who's also thinking the same, like and interested in UX, I spoke to as many people as I could, and I also this isn't an advert or anything like that, but I onboarded to a course, like a digital bootcamp that's run by the UX Design Institute, and they partner with a local university to us in Glasgow called Glasgow Caledonian or Cali University.
Yeah.
And they offer like a digital, I think it's a professional diploma in UX design.
Wow.
It's all delivered online. You can do it at your own pace. And you kind of just do it like self-study. So like I spent a lot of my evenings, a lot of my weekends getting through that coursework. And as well as that, there's also like a portfolio that you've got to do. So you've got to have, you know, design stuff. You've got to have user research sessions. You've got to interview people. I think by the end of it, my wife was sick of being an interview subject for the airline site that I had to build as part of the portfolio. But I think in all of that, you know, I know that there's a lot of work involved in that, and I know that, you know, within myself, I do deserve the opportunities that I've now had, and I'm sure of that because I put the effort in.
Yeah.
But I think up until very recently, I didn't really believe that I, you know, was deserving of a position that I have managed to land, and I'm really, really lucky, you know, to have that opportunity. But I think just to go back to the point I was making about Duncan, my manager, he's kind of done a lot of that groundwork and, you know, making me actually realise that, hey, yeah, you don't have a master's in psychology. Yeah, you weren't a software engineer. And yeah, maybe you don't bring that perspective to this role. But my God, you've been a radio presenter for 10 years. How many artists, celebrities, members of the public, politicians have you interviewed over those 10 years? Because, hey, it's a lot like user research interviews and speaking to people, understanding their perspective. He said, you know, don't worry that you don't have a master's. Don't worry that you don't know about psychology. You know, what matters is the experience that you've had up until now that you can bring into this role. And, you know, you are valuable. You have a fresh perspective that nobody else on this team has. And I think it wasn't until he kind of said that to me, I was like, wow, he's right. He is right, because I do bring a different perspective, and you know, I think I maybe overlooked that a lot over the last kind of, you know, 9 months or whatever it is. So to go back to your question, do I have any kind of doubts on repeat just now? The answer now is no. At the moment, I mean, I dare say, you know, we all have that kind of imposter syndrome and stuff. I dare say there'll be times that it creeps back in, and I think, do I deserve this? But, you know, that's just part and parcel of, you know, any journey, no matter whether you're in tech, want to get into tech, you know, it's part of being human, and it, you know, affects everyone, even the people that say it doesn't affect them, it absolutely does. So yeah, I think there's no doubts on repeat at the moment. They might come back, I don't know. But yeah, it really has been quite the journey.
Wow. It's actually quite a journey. And this is why everyone's know their journey. Your journey is unique. My journey is unique. Even with what your manager said, that you are bringing a unique perspective to the team that no one in the team even have that experience. That's why what you went through, the background that you came from, makes you unique. You understand? Even if you are chasing the same goal, the path that we will take may be different, but we are actually chasing the same thing. And for everyone listening, please, your background should always be a superpower for you. Don't look down on yourself, okay, because I came from this background, I'm not qualified for something. Just put in the effort, just like Jonny said. He put in the hard work, built his portfolio, a well portfolio, like humbled himself to take a lot of courses and everything before. I said it earlier also that you must have done a lot of hard work before you secure that particular role, because I know that the market is very competitive, and anybody that is ready to put in the work, they will get whatever they want to get. You're just about to have the right mindset of what they want to do, and just forget about your background, forget about where you're coming from, just focus on it. That's anything you're going through right now will make you unique. And thank you, Jonny, for sharing that. Now as a person, how has this career transition changed you as a person beyond your professional skills?
That's a good question. I think it's changed me in a lot of good ways.
Okay.
Before I dive into it, I just wanted to add to your point there because I thought you made a really interesting point on going for it and knuckling down and just kind of almost believing in yourself. Just to add to that as well, what I realised in this journey is that, especially when I saw an opportunity for a role that I really wanted, but I knew that I didn't really have, a great deal of experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes recruiters are really interested in people who take it upon themselves to hustle in the background in their evenings and in their weekends to change their career and learn off their own back. Sometimes as well that comes at a financial cost where you've had to pay for a course or invest in books or study, and they actually value that a lot more than you think. Because I know that for the role that I'm in now, there was other applicants who had worked in this industry for years. And, there's a chance that some people get too comfortable. They just kind of do the bare minimum of the work or what's expected, take the paycheck and go. Whereas if you have a determination and a drive and you are curious, and you've gone to the lengths of, studying and building a portfolio off your own back, doing it, whilst you're not getting paid, you're not on, the clock of a job or a company. Yeah. That goes for a lot more than what you think in terms of value. So, if you are in that position and you're thinking, I'm not going to apply. I don't have the skill set to do that. I would say apply, because the worst that someone can say is no. Yeah. If you're curious enough, all it takes is for one hiring manager to say, do you know what? I actually think we should take a chance on this person because look at all of the things they've done off their own back and of their own accord. So I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, because I thought you're bang on. Like, even if you don't think you've got the right skills, apply and do it anyway, because if all else fails, it's good experience anyway, at least to, submit the application, maybe do one or two interviews, get used to, that kind of environment. And it's only a good thing, really, even if it doesn't result in a job offer. But to get back to your question, what was your question? I went on a tangent there, sorry.
Like, how has this career transition changed you as a person beyond just your professional skills?
Yeah, no, that was the question. I think in terms of how it's changed me, I think up until I started this journey, I have been quite a confident person, confident in my own ability, confident sometimes where I don't feel confident, but I can put on a brave face and just go for it. And I think having worked in, live broadcasting environments where anything can go wrong at any time, or, a station goes off air, or the microphone stops working, or your buttons in front of you don't play the song when you're pressing them, and you've just got to talk and fill the gap. I think I've always been, seen to be at least very confident and sure of my abilities. And I think with that, especially being in a role where you're in the public eye and you have to be very careful what you say. You don't, want to give off opinions that are too strong, or you got to remain very neutral and very on the fence, and not give any audience a kind of reason to, hate you for, a certain view that you might have or whatever. So I think I've always been very kind of confident in my own ability, and as part of that, being in the public eye, you never really want to admit that I actually haven't got a clue what that is. And, you've got to kind of almost be seen to be an expert in your field. And for that reason, I probably didn't always ask for help if I didn't understand something, or if I wasn't sure how to do something. And I think for me, this experience and this journey that I've been on since August last year of transitioning into UX has been that it's actually fine to say that you don't know. It's absolutely fine. And I kind of half took this on board. While I was at university, I had a part-time job where I worked for a large technology company that have a shop, many shops around the world that look very nice. The name of the shop also is a fruit. I think I can say it now. Is that I think I can say I worked at the Apple store while I was at university, and they had a kind of saying or a mantra that we were all kind of encouraged to use. And it's when, if you don't know something, and let's say you're a customer and you've asked me something and I don't know what the answer is, there's no point in pretending that you do and trying to like fluff your way through it. And instead, what they encourage you to say is, I don't know the answer to that, but let's go and find out together. And let's go and find someone on the shop floor, whether it's at the Genius Bar or whoever it may be, find someone who knows the answer. And you and I, the customer, are on the same level now, and we will both find out the answer to your question together. And not only is it a learning experience for them, it's a learning experience for me. And it also kind of puts you on the same level as the customer. And like, we're human. We're all trying to figure this thing that is life out together. So I think for me, the kind of lasting impact is that it's fine to say if you don't know something, and nobody's going to think, oh man, this guy hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. He shouldn't be in X position or shouldn't be, X rank in the company because he doesn't know this. And I think that's the kind of lasting impact that this journey's had on me, is just to kind of suck it up, swallow your pride. It doesn't matter if you don't know.
Yeah.
And, and if anything, you're giving someone else a platform to share what they know with you, which in most cases kind of makes them feel quite good as well, because I'm not going to say that it makes them feel like they're one up on you, but it gives them an opportunity to feel like they're doing something that is worthwhile and they're sharing their knowledge with you. So yeah, I think that's been the kind of like lasting impact beyond kind of like professional career, even in like my day-to-day life now, when, there's something that I come across and I'm like, I haven't got a clue what that is. It's fine to say it, and I have no problem saying it at all, no matter who it is. If it's like the smartest person that I've ever met, or a professor from a university, if it's like, a politician that I would happen to be speaking to, or an artist that I would have to interview on the radio, I would have no qualms saying that I don't know. So I think that's probably the biggest kind of and most lasting impact that the journey's had on me. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much for that answer. So imagine that you are given 1,000 people who are looking to change their career also. So if you could design a career transition bootcamp, what would be the first exercise that you will make people to do?
Oh, that's a good question. So first thing I would get people to do is probably reach out to at least 2 people in the field or industry that you're curious about. Whether it's even just sending a couple of connection requests on LinkedIn. But please, if there's one thing you do, personalize it and put a note on it and say, put your intentions there. Yeah. Hey, this is really weird. I know we don't know each other, but I'm interested in X field of work. I know you do that, and I would love to pick your brains about it if you had, 20 minutes for a coffee. Chances are there'll be some people that just don't reply. But if you try hard enough, you'll come across at least 1 or 2 people that'll say yes. Also as well, utilize your network. I'm not the biggest kind of, contributor on LinkedIn or like thought leader or anything like that, but use the network of people that you have and the people that you know. Even if you have to put a post out and say, hey, I'm really interested in this line of work or this industry. Does anyone have any contacts here that you could connect me with? And use what you have, use the tools that you've got. But I think that would be number 1 on my list in terms of speaking to people in that industry, because it's like anything. You could go online and you could read, countless reviews on, different sites, like is it Glassdoor or, you could go on Reddit and read people's experiences. I guess experiences and reviews are quite an interesting one, because you'll find that there's usually experiences at either end of the spectrum. There's the ones that are, this is a terrible industry, don't work in it, or there's ones that, maybe someone's new to it and they're in that really kind of like honeymoon phase where they think it's the best thing ever, and they're posting like an amazing industry, do it, and there never is a kind of like in between version.
Yeah.
I think if you reach out to real people and you ask, the questions that you're interested in, that kind of matter to you, you'll get usually a kind of fair and honest answer that covers off your areas of concern. But I think that would be number one on my list is speak to people in the industry, get real people who you either know or know through someone else, and get them to kind of give you an overview of the industry and what their role's like, what a typical day looks like. I guess exactly as the person that I spoke about earlier who's connected with me, it's exactly what he's done. He wants to know, like, what does a typical day look like? What do you do from, 9 to 5, from when you're in this building, what do you do? And, I think that's a brilliant way of understanding, could I see myself in this role? Is this an industry that I want to work in? What are the prospects? Because ultimately, let's not lie, we all want to make money and we all want to have a nice life and a nice kind of standard of living. So I guess it's just weighing up those options when you reach out and speak to people. So yeah, that would be number one on my list. And I think from there, it probably would be then to start kind of like understanding what can I do at the moment in my current position, whether you're in another role in, the industry. So maybe you work in tech already in another role, like a software engineer, or maybe you are an agility lead or a data analyst. And maybe, you want to just move to another role within the industry, or maybe you are a student or you're between jobs just now. I think use the resources that you can find around you to start learning. So whether it's like, going on Google and trying to find courses that are free, or LinkedIn has like LinkedIn Learning now, which I saw recently. So they offer some courses. I know Google had their like digital garage thing for a while, and also like some courses on Udemy. And there's loads of sites where you can access free resources, and at least you can kind of start to understand, what's involved, the methodologies of that industry. And so, for example, like in UX, some of the practices that people use, like I mentioned earlier, card sorts, user interviews, focus groups, like all of these kind of different things, you can learn about them online. And, once you kind of start to learn enough that you think, yeah, this is for me, maybe at that point, that's when you explore if there are opportunities for maybe your current employer to support you on that learning journey, or whether it's, you find another way, whether it's self-funding, or if you manage to get like a paid, space on a course through some sort of government scheme, whatever it may be. I think that would be top of my list. So speak to people and use the tools around you to learn as much as you can without having to shell out of your own pocket just yet. And then once you're feeling more confident that it is the right move for you and you are interested in pursuing further, at that point you can kind of make it a little bit more official and a little bit more serious.
Wow. In short time, you have made a complete career transition bootcamp course that I will buy if you publish it. Seriously.
Who knows?
Seriously.
Who knows? Maybe that's in the future.
Like, please, you can look into that. If anyone is listening right now and they are in a position or they're in a state that they want to make that move, maybe they're in a career that they have outgrown, or they just want to try something else, but they are scared to take that move. You have got everything you need. You have heard it from Jonny. Please take that move. It may be scary, but take it, because you don't learn something until you try it, and you don't achieve something until you actually take the step. Jonny, this has been absolutely incredible. Trust me. Before we wrap up, when can listener connect with you and follow your UX journey?
Sure. Yeah, I'm more than happy if anyone listening wants to connect with me on LinkedIn. You find me on there just by searching Jonny Campbell. It's Jonny. I never put an H in my nickname growing up, probably because I didn't know how to spell. So I've just stuck with Jonny spelled like this for so long. But yeah, LinkedIn, Jonny Campbell is where you'll find me. I do have a UX portfolio site that is about to be published I'm making the final tweaks to it. Maybe by the time you hear this, it'll be published, but it's johnnycampbell.co.uk if you want to check that out. It's not going to be packed full of stuff just yet because I'm not too far into this journey, but I think if there's one takeaway from what I've been saying on this podcast, it's just do it anyway. Pull the trigger, bite the bullet, and do it because, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yes, I have a portfolio out. It's not packed full of amazing stuff with the biggest companies in the world, but it's a step in the right direction, and that first step to having that portfolio at some point further down the line. So, more than happy if anyone wants to reach out and ask questions, and if I can help you in any way, I will. I hope the insights that I've been given in my own journey has been somewhat helpful. I guess it's always funny reflecting on your own journey thus far, but I guess stepping back and actually thinking about the last 9 months, it has been quite the journey, and it has been quite the shake up from where I was this time like last year. So
guys, let me tell you, Jonny's story is a masterclass, as I've said before, in career reinvention. Trust me. And if his story resonated with you, I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, subscribe to this channel or whatever platform that you are listening on. Number 2, share this episode to someone who is considering a career change but think either it's too late or too scary. And number 3, if you are thinking of career transition, drop in the comment. Let us know what career transition are you considering and what is holding you back. Your story could be the next future episode on Tech Journey with DeDataDude. And always remember, your tech dreams and your life dreams are valid, no matter where you are, no matter where you are starting from, whether in radio, in retail, or teaching, or in any other field. There's a place for you in any space that you want to be, and it's all about finding the right path and having the courage to take keep pushing you and keep learning towards that goal. And this is your host, DeDataDude, and our guest for today is Jonny. Thank you so much, Jonny, for sharing your incredible journey with us today. And we are reminding you that your current situation, your background are serving as a superpower to your final destination. Peace out.
Thank you. Cheers.